We are back with Cocktails with the Queens. Now, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, we invited author of the book Balance to talk about the importance of finding balance in our lives. Please welcome Pastor Toure Roberts. Hello.
Thank you so much, Claudia. Thank you to all of us, all of you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you. Real quick, do we got to behave because you're a pastor, or are you one of them pastors that's kind of, you kind of bend the rules a little?
No, I want you to be yourself. You guys are having a good time. I want to be a part of that good time.
Damn, I drank water tonight. I should have had me a shot. Okay, right. First of all, how's it going? And how did you celebrate your wife, Sarah Jakes Roberts, on Mother's Day?
Yeah, I'm doing well. We started on Friday. I took her out for the day, wine tasting, a great lunch, took her down to Santa Barbara for a drive. Then Saturday, she was actually honored at a luncheon. So I went and supported her for that luncheon. And then yesterday, we had a really nice catered thing at the house for her and my mother. So I think she felt pretty appreciated.
See, LISARAYE, he had wine. We good.
You said what?
He had wine. We good.
I'm gonna stay right here.
You in Italy, girl.
So, Toure, before we talk about your book, how did you find your calling in life while being a man who wears so many hats?
Wow, I think my calling more found me. To be honest with you, I think that all of us have something deep down in us nagging, and life circumstances oftentimes creates that opportunity for you to respond to it. And so, my background is business, but although I had a lot of external things going good, if I was honest, my insides weren't great, and I began to pursue my own faith, and out of that overflow of what was happening to me personally, ministry began to take place.
You have such a wonderful tone to your voice. I find your voice to be like so healing. And you're an author now, and your book Balance takes readers on a journey while unpacking the formula that makes finding balance in your lives a reality. Why did you decide to write this book?
I wrote Balance because I felt like that was one of the areas where a lot of people struggle. You never hear anybody saying, man, my life is so balanced. It's always, I'm trying to find balance. And so since I was personally challenged, my experience and journey in ministry is finding the things that challenge you, overcoming it, and sharing it with the world. And so I felt like balance, if I could show the path to balance, that it would be not only a gift to my life personally, but a gift to the many people I get a chance to serve and share with through my ministry.
Perfect. I have to say a little bit more than the ladies, because there is a relationship here. I have been with, as I graciously and affectionately call him PT, since he had his church in North Hollywood. And I was introduced to him through Dr. Holly Carter. And he became the kind of pastor that I wanted to know more about him, how long he had been ministering, how his life was, and how he would teach. And I followed over to our church over on Melrose. Your first book, A Purpose Awakening, was brilliant. First of all, I need to say that this is not his first book at all. The first book, I was pleasantly surprised that you write like you teach and talk. And for all of you out there, I've always wanted to have a pastor that was smart here and had the heart here, but knew how to speak it to you in a way you understand. That was important to me, because a lot of times I would leave church when I was trying to find myself and be confused. And so this is the pastor that baptized me 10 years ago in my backyard. So I want to say thank you.
Wow.
Okay. So
thank you.
And when I say things crazy, this man is the reason why I'm able to chin check myself and to reflect on the things that I say, because I'm saying to myself, someone has sown into me. Someone has saw some greatness into me, and the things that he would say will come back to me. So I would say to everybody out there, find yourself a good pastor to write good books so he can teach you too. Okay. So this book you wrote, the reason why you have to dig deep in order to begin our journey to balance is because the path to balance commences from within the deepest part of ourself. What part is that? Like, I didn't get to that chapter. So can you kind of dissect that a little for me?
I can. And thank you so much, LISARAYE. And you've been really supportive for a long time. And I really appreciate that. And I appreciate your words. In the book, I talk about the difference between self-awareness and soul awareness. A lot of people are self-aware. That's a new buzzword. And I think it's wonderful that people are digging into themselves. But there are layers to us. And the deepest layer is soul awareness. And the reason why knowing the difference is important is because if you're not connected to what your soul is longing for, then you'll misinterpret the hunger, and you will try to satisfy it with things that don't satisfy the soul. You try to satisfy it with physical things, a relationship, some of the other things that we do. And so in the book, I talk about getting past the surface and really digging deep and connecting with your soul so that you can get your soul nourished and satisfied, which is the deepest part of self.
Well, you also talk about noise, and so noise in our life. So how can we get rid of the noise in our lives to help us find the balance that we need?
Yeah, I think it's to first actually recognize that life is noisy. I mean, I think that noisiness has become so normal that it's noisy and we don't even know it. It isn't until we actually stop and get still to realize, like, wow, man, my life is noisy. I'm on social all the time. News is coming at me, work, all the things in my life are coming at me, and not all noise is bad noise. Some of it is good noise, family, friends. But it's about, first of all, recognizing that life truly is noisy, and then having the faith and the courage to actually stop. LISARAYE, some people think that it takes faith to go. I've learned that it takes more faith to actually stop than it does to go, to believe that you can stop and get still and not lose your money or your relationships or whatever. And so I think that recognizing that life is noisy and then having the courage to stop is the first step to having the type of environment that you can progress from.
Wow. I want to thank you for introducing the church to your now wife, Sarah Jakes Roberts, because both of you all together make hell nervous.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow.
Well, speaking of stop, Pastor Touré, you and even speaking of your wife as well, in the introduction, she spoke of how you shut things down when you were getting ready to go to church. And you talk about shutting down in the book, even comparing shutting down our lives in comparison to how we would shut down a computer, so that it can repower up. Talk to us about what you mean exactly when you say shutting down to power up.
Yeah, I try not to work so hard and to spend so much energy in the day where all I have enough strength to do is lay across the bed and fall asleep. Reason being is I think that at the end of the day, somehow we ought to get to a place to where we process the day. Was it a success? Were there things left over? And ultimately get to gratitude, because you want to go to sleep well. If you go to sleep well, I think you'll wake up well. And so I use the analogy as like a computer. You don't just let a computer just die. You want to take it. If you want the computer to be as healthy as it can be, you take time to shut down the apps, let it close properly. Mm-hmm. And I think that we have to value our lives in the same way and follow suit.
That's awesome. That's a good point. I like that.
You are you do have such a peaceful aura about you as well. And it's very like I want to hear what you have to say. Yep. You know what I mean? And I think our viewers are feeling the same way in the chat. Touré, in your book, you wrote about reneging on saying the word no to keep the peace with your wife. Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, that was the chapter called "The Power of No," and yeah, there was a moment that we had where I made a mistake. I needed rest, and I took off to go and get that rest. But the way I did it was wrong. I did it abruptly, and recognizing that and that it didn't go over well, I decided to, hey, bro, you better go home and make that right. And I did. I went home and I made it right. I apologized to her, and then I stayed when. At the time, I was actually depleted and really did need the rest. And so the lesson learned was, hey, you were right to go back. You left wrong, go back, make it right. But once everything was peaceful, I should have took my tail back to the hotel to get what I needed, because ultimately I just pushed off, just the restoration that I needed. And so, it was good that I was willing to go and say no and get away, but it was how I did it. But that whole chapter is really about getting comfortable with no, because your yes is expensive. And
Okay.
and if you're going, she's clapping. And if you're going to, if you're going to be able to give your yes to the things that matter most, then you got to make sure that you're saying no enough to have a healthy amount of yeses to give when it matters.
Yes, God.
The next time I negotiate my contract, I'm gonna say my yes is expensive.
Okay.
Yes is expensive. Pastor Touré said so. My yes is hella expensive. Touré, what is one thing you want people to take away from your book, and where can we find your book?
Okay. Well, I think, you can find it at thebalancebook.com, and it's anywhere books are sold. But I really want people to not tolerate imbalance. Like, I think that if we're saying, man, I need more balance in my life, what we're also saying is that I am tolerating imbalance. And when we're out of balance, we're not hitting on all. So we're not hitting. We might think we're doing well, but we will be doing so much better if we were balanced. So I want people to have an intolerance for imbalance, and I want them to work the disciplines in the book so that they can live a balanced life, so that they can be positioned to do all things well. But it's at thebalancebook.com. They can just search The Balance Book, Toure Roberts, and they can find it anywhere.
Is it also available on audio?
It is. I recorded the audio, and the audio actually has some extra little stuff in it too.
Oh, good, because I love
stuff.
audiobooks. Oh,
Pastor, we have people in the chat. We have Riri Drakeford and several others saying, I need this book. Exactly. Like everyone's in here. Like, I think you're gonna get some new fans coming over there and supporting you, because I think they're loving what you're saying. So thank you so much, Pastor Touré, for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you. Make sure you get his book and follow everything that he's working on with this positive aura and this great energy. And we really appreciate you coming and blessing our show tonight.
Wow. Thank you so much, Queens. God bless you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We
so
love you.
much.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. We will take a quick commercial break. Make sure you support this brother doing positive things. We'll be right back with more Cocktails with Queens after the break.